Hi guys, welcome back. So today I wanted to show you how you can press and preserve leaves and flowers. So the other day I went out, I collected some leaves and I pressed them into a magazine, and I will show you that footage in a minute. So you can buy these handy dandy flower presses, or I just use old magazines and old books. But it's important, if you're using an old book, make sure that's not a special one. So that's why I just use old magazines. I have an old Color Blends magazine, and I have all the leaves that I pressed in here now. But what happens, I don't know if you can see it or not. I don't know if it's kind of picking it up. When the leaves and flowers are being pressed, a lot of times moisture kind of oozes out of the petals and leaves, and it doesn't so much ruin the pages, you can still see them, but it does get that wrinkly texture that happens when a page gets damp. So if you don't want that happening, you're just going to take a piece of wax paper. If you're using an old book, so I have a couple leaves in here, so you would put down a wax paper first, put the leaves or flowers on top of the wax paper, do another piece of wax paper, and then close the page. And then that way the moisture will go into the wax paper instead of your pages, and it will prevent the pages from getting wrinkly. But this is just an old magazine. As beautiful as it is, I skipped the wax paper step. And then you're gonna wanna put something heavy on top. So I have my favorite flower books of all times, the Floret flower books from Erin at Floret, and I'm just gonna put that on top as a weight. You want to add weight after pressing it. So I'm just going to dive right in. These flowers, my dad just passed away, so these flowers are from his celebration of life. We had a celebration of life, and they're just starting to go kind of limp. The ones that are left, I thought I would like to press and preserve, and then I can use those later in some crafts, and I'll take you along with me when I do that. But what I'm gonna do, there's some awesome ferns. I'm just gonna clip some ferns off the flowers. There's these really cool little wispy greenery things. Don't know what they're called, but I'm gonna save those. These yellow flowers here are fabulous. If anyone knows what these are, please let me know, because I would love to grow these. Now these are kind of thick. They won't press as flat as some of the other flowers or just leaves and petals, but I want to try them. So I'm going to clip off the stem as close to the flower head as I can get it, and we'll see what happens when you press those. Okay, this is everything that I have gathered, so I'm just gonna open my book. I have the leaves that I gathered in front, so I'm just gonna open it to where I have it left off. So I think I'm gonna start with the roses. So beautiful. I just picked one rose off. It's still pretty much like the rose shape. And I just kind of started picking off the petals. Now some petals are more difficult because they're already starting to curl. So I'm just gonna place those down as carefully as I can, and then try to flip the page and keep the petals as flat as I can. Okay, I'm just gonna flip the page a couple, and just kind of carefully. It doesn't really bother me if some of the petals curl over a little bit, or if there's any folds. It doesn't bother me, but you can, be as careful as you want. And I'm just gonna keep going with the process until they're all done. I don't think there's anything I need to say. Again, like the thick ones, they won't press as flat as the rose petals. Obviously, there's a huge difference in thickness, but I still thought I would give it a shot, and I've pressed things like this before, and they still worked out pretty well. Okay, everything is pressed. A few of the leaves, the edges are kind of sticking out. That doesn't really bother me, but if you want, you can make sure everything is sticking in. Okay, so I've just closed the book. This is when I'm gonna add something heavy on top, whether it's good books or a box full of cans or whatever. And I'm just gonna let this sit. Now, I'm not sure the minimum amount of time that you need to let it sit. Normally, I like to let them sit for at least a couple weeks, and I'm sure it depends on the really thick ones, like these yellow ones, probably will need more time than the thin ones. But I like to let them sit for at least a couple weeks before I start my projects. So that's it for this video. I will play the gathering of the leaves and pressing the leaves now. So if you want to keep watching, you certainly can. If you want to see what I will be doing with these leaves for crafts and just fun ideas, then please subscribe so you can follow along and not miss that video when it comes out. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.